Hey, everybody. Hello, everybody. Nick from Millburn. We're here for a special show. The main reason we're doing this is to talk about Kevin Willard, and we'll get to that in a few moments. I am joined by Frankie A. Frankie, what's up, brother?
Hi, Nick. Everybody else, how
I
you guys doing?
I am joined by Mr. Knowledgeable, the one and only Paul Just a Fan LaMonica, who's more than just a fan. He's a fountain of information. How are you, Paul?
Reaching such a high.
Paul, you there? Paul's frozen.
Nick, how are you guys?
Good. What's up, Paul? And then good. The unofficial mayor of Orange, New Jersey, Bill Hathaway, my brother. How are you, Bill?
All right, my guy.
And you forgot, Nick, you forgot
Yeah.
media buffet reviewer.
Yeah, we're gonna do a segment down the road. Bill's media buffet review. But yeah.
Sounds
and
good.
then the owner, operator, chief executive officer, the reason we are here, Surge Sports. When you think of Surge Sports, think no farther than Bobby Blackjack Warrente. Bobby, how are you, my brother?
What's up, fellow Setonians? Is that that's our newspaper, right? Fellow Paulians? I don't know, whatever you want to call us. Nick, take it away.
So before we go on the KW, Kevin Willard, and everyone that's starting to join, we got to talk. The Johnnies, baby. You know what? No love lost for Patino, but the Johnnies 67-65 over Kansas. Dylan Darling at the buzzer. First I thought, I'm like, did he get that shot off in time? And then when we watched it, yes. Patino pulled a Herb Brooks, and I loved it. No emotion, turned around, walked right out, let your kids celebrate. I love that. Frank, quick thoughts on the Johnnies. Are you for the Johnnies or against the Johnnies?
Well, prior to the tournament, I knew the Big East had to come up big, so I wanted, all three teams to go as far as possible. Villanova, they're already done, so yeah, naturally I wanted St. John's and UConn both to advance tonight. And St. John's, they just looked totally dominant until maybe about the last 5 minutes of the game, which really surprised me because they haven't looked that way in a long time. And in fact, I think the toughest any team had played them until the last 5 minutes of tonight's game was Seton Hall in both games they played against them. Since that first Seton Hall game, well, not the first one, but their second game, the one at the Prudential Center. But they just looked almost invincible. But then Kansas made a heck of a run, although they were aided by a couple of bad calls. There was the one that went backcourt, it was deflected. And then another one, it looked like the Kansas guy stepped out of bounds, then put his foot up in the air and threw it back in. They got a layup after that. And, that was key. But you know what? St. John still had the upper hand the whole time. And, they did what they had to do. And they are a tough team to defend. So when you had one-on-one with everybody, Darling did what he had to do and just drove down the right side.
Dylan Darling, baby. And then Paul, once Kansas made that run, Paul's favorite player, Bryce Hopkins, ice water. What did he hit, Paul? 6 threes?
Oh, he was tonight. I've got Hopkins 6 of 9 from 3, and I was very happy that the country is finally learning about Zuby Ejiofor and how good he is. We've had a fight with him all season long, and now the country gets to see him. And finally, you're in an NCAA tournament game, and with 30 seconds left, you have 9 team fouls, and your opponents have 2 team fouls. So, I think that the officiating was absolutely atrocious, and
Paul,
there was something somewhat gratifying.
Who was working the game? Tell me. Frank, who was working the game? Come on, guys.
Yeah, it's our boy.
Mark Potter was one of them.
Bill had it. Mark Potter was working the game.
Yes.
He's one
this
of them.
guy, I don't know if
Wait, guys, one at a time. We got a lot tonight. All right, Paul, go.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think I'd let Potter referee an 8-year-old, a U8 game. Okay, I mean, he's just atrocious. And that you've got that kind of a disparity between the two teams. When I thought it was a physical game, both teams should have both been in the bonus at the same time. and Kansas should have never been in a position to foul 6 times at the end of the game. And then, of course, it didn't work, and Darling still did a great job.
Bill, go.
Yeah, kudos to the Johnny. Great win. They had a hell of a game. Let's wish them a lot of luck against Duke in the NCAA Sweet 16 since 1999.
All right, guys. Now, the reason that we're here, let's get on to KW. So, in the game, in the Utah State game, and let me just warm it up before we go. In the Utah State game, during a mandated, so I guess the coaches are under contractual obligation to be interviewed. During a timeout, Lauren Shahadi came up to Kevin Willard and asked him a pretty benign question. And let's just watch this because it ended up being viral. And so let's just look at this.
16 paint points for Utah State. How do you keep them out?
I'm going to fire my staff because we've...
Not now.
Yeah, I am, because we've given up 8 points on underneath out of bounds defense. So the only thing I'm going to do is fire them and get a new staff.
Mark Ziegler standing in your Tribune, you just mentioned making changes to your staff. You gave a...
it's a joke.
That's what I want to ask you about.
Bless it.
You gave an interview during the game. It went viral. You're being criticized pretty heavily online.
I don't care.
It's a joke?
Welcome to my life. It's a joke.
Paint points for Utah State. How do you keep them out?
Let's watch it one more. We got it? Okay. Bobby, he doesn't care. He was joking. Well, what do you think, Bobby? Was he joking?
No. I mean, no, in a sense that he said that in the heat of the moment. And we all do that, right? We all do that probably once a week. We get mad at something, relationships, work situations, right? He said it in the heat of the moment. But the issue is, guys, he's not backing down from it.
Nope.
He is not backing down.
Paul, was he joking?
Joking is the wrong word. He said something that he didn't mean out of frustration. And, is he really now going to fire all his assistant coaches? I'm sure he's not. But, coaches, and these in-game interviews are absolutely ridiculous. You're in the middle. You're upset that your team is not defending on the on under the basket inbounds plays, and someone puts a microphone in front of your mouth and says, "What do you think you're going to have to do in the second half?" And he says, "Oh, I'm gonna get rid of all my assistant coaches." I'm sure that it is not a joke in the sense that he wasn't trying to be funny, but I don't think it was a serious comment that he expects to go and clean house on his coaching staff either. I think he was frustrated, said something he shouldn't in the heat of the moment, and then retreated to what coaches do when they screw up to the press. They treat the press with disdain. Oh, I don't care. Well, you know what? You better care, because your staff, if I'm on his staff, we're going to have a conversation on the next day that we have a practice about what he's going to say in front of TV. And it's not going to be pretty.
But Paul, on that note, before we get on to Bill and Frank, so Coach Skin, who was an assistant at Seton Hall with him, and came out and said something on Twitter that Willard's the GOAT. He was only kidding. He helped me make my career. All the assistants are coming out, and they don't have to, and they're supporting him. What do you think about that, Frank, about the comment and then the fact that he is getting some support from guys that work for him?
Well, first of all, it's one thing I want to say is one of the clips that wasn't shown in the presser was he was asked about it again, and he reiterated it, what he had said during the game. And so it was like he doubled down. And that's why the second clip that you showed, that's what prompted that gentleman to ask the question. So I didn't see him laughing when he joked. So I don't know if he was joking or not, but I don't think he was 100% serious either. He was obviously mad. And you see a lot of these coaches getting mad at their assistants. And I mean, we don't have to look too much further than watching Shaheen. I mean, we've all seen him get really upset with some of our assistants. So that's nothing new. I'm sure he didn't go, to the, powers that be at Villanova and say, look, I need to change my staff here. I'm making personnel changes. I doubt that happened, but I'm sure he wasn't happy with them.
But once he said it, right now, if he wanted to make personnel changes, it's impossible, right? Like he can't. Am I right, Bill? Bill, what are your thoughts? He can't, right? It would be all types of whatever.
You want to know what I really think about Kevin Willard?
What do you think, Bill?
Kevin Willard should be reprimanded by the athletic director. He knows better than that. He's going to come after he got spanked. He got beat in the NCAA tournament first round, and you can't. And like Frank said, it's a lot of pressure with the Big East coaches. Put a microphone in front of their mouth, but you know what you're going to come if you're going to speak to the press, right? You're going to talk to them. Talk to them with common sense. If you made that comment, you should correct yourself and say, listen. Oh, I do apologize. The statement that I made, and it's unfortunate after a tough loss, but I don't agree. I mean, I think he knew. I think it was in the heat of the moment during halftime, and after the game, there's a 15-minute cooling period in the Big East. He should have turned it down and said, "Listen, I didn't mean to say what I had to say," but he knew if it came out of his mouth. And I've seen Willard in press conferences in the past, the way he talks to the press. He's a Seymour Ghana guy, great coach, because he won a Big East title for Seton Hall. He took us to the NCAA. But, you got to watch what you say next time and how the cameras are out there. Anything goes on Twitter. It's a lot of pressure for coaches. But, if he said it, he said it. If he didn't, well, then come back with a reading statement. Say, I do apologize for my comments, and it won't happen again. You can't take it both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's and I'll say on that. And I mean, Kevin has misspoken before. Okay, the very first press conference when they announced him and as our coach at Walsh, I remember being there with Junior. I don't know if Bill was there or Bobby was there, and he got up and he said, I'm going to bring in Marcus Toniel as an assistant. Well, there was that never was going to happen. Marcus didn't know. So he never brought Marcus Toniel in. I don't know why he misspoke and said that, but he has been known to misspeak. But then on the other hand, and Bobby and Bill have been in more press conferences than any of us, and not Coach Boz so much, but like coach talk, right? Yeah. We got to tighten up the defense, and we got to look for the high ball screen and try to work it down in the paint, and we'll be better in the second half. Coach talk, right? That's total off the top of my head coach talk, right? So don't you get bored of coach talk? Because Willard does everything but coach talk, right? Like no other coach in America would joke at a comment like that.
Nope.
Bobby, you're the guru on the media. What do you think, Bobby?
Again, like Bill said, I think it's just tasteless remarks given at a time of passion because you're in a throw of battle, right? On a battlefield, you're about to lose, or looks like it's gonna not turn out well for you. But you just don't throw your coaches under the bus.
But was he though? Was he, or was he just joking?
No, he wasn't joking. I think he was serious. He knew what he was going to say, and it's just like any other coach or any high school coach. You got to be accountable for your words. You know what I mean? Us as media people, you can, if you're getting ready to ask, what question you're going into a press conference, what you want to say. If you ain't going to save it, closed mouths don't feed, you know what I'm saying? You got to open your mouth if you want to ask that serious question. And that's what the reporter did. And he took it the opposite way. And hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
But Paul, am I the only one that gets it as a joke and refreshing? Like, am I wrong? Like, Bill thinks it was serious, so we're gonna get Maddie and see what. Like, was it tongue in cheek? Was he like showing that he's the smartest guy in the room and he was just goofing on Lauren Shahadi? Is that what he was doing?
No, I think,
no.
Frankly, no, I don't. I think that First of all, I think there's a difference between saying something that you don't really mean and trying to make a joke. And I think he said something that he didn't really mean, exaggerated, and it was and it was insulting to his assistant coaches. Now,
Yep.
He may have thought it. I've said things that I thought were going to be funny, and then they came out of my mouth, and guess what? It wasn't funny. So it's possible that he thought he was saying something tongue in cheek, but the truth is that saying that in that moment, with the emotion of the moment was if it was a joke, he should really buy himself a joke book and get a little bit better at it, because he didn't do it very well. And then in the press conference, all he had to say was, "I have a great staff." To that question, all he had to say is, "I have a great staff. My staff has worked hard all year, and that's all I have to say about it." And that's the end of it.
Maddie, what was it a joke, Maddie? What was he joking? Maddie, your volume. Where's Maddie?
Hi.
What happened? There we go, Bob. There we go. Maddie, was it a joke? What happened? All right, we're gonna lose Maddie. But then what happened, guys, is okay. So Willard said it, and then on our Facebook page, things kind of went crazy, like it often does. And Christina has some comments that were actually on our page at the time. And say what you want about Kevin. Kevin's polarizing. You love Kevin, and I love Kevin. I might be the only one out of this group, but I'm a big Kevin fan. Again, I think he took us, where no man has taken us before. Third best coach in the school history behind Honey Russell and PJ, and I don't think that's disputable. Christina, you got any of the quotes up there from some of the people? You guys? Oh, Christina's having computer issues.
She's having a computer issue. She can't get to her destination like Bill last week.
But let me say this. Bobby said, here we go. Okay. Corey Hershey, there isn't a board here or your podcast without Willard. So I'm going to go right to our founder, Bobby. Bobby, is that true?
And I'm going to swear on my own damn network. Bullshit. My freshman year was the year they went to the finals in '89. I don't want to hear there wasn't been a podcast without it. The whole fandom has been ingrained to me for 30-something years now. If I can do my math in my head right. So don't tell me this wouldn't be here. This, sport platforms like this or FAN or ESPN are made to give you your opinion. Okay? I'm allowed to hate Kevin Willard. And for those of me, I got one thing to say too. People come after me, oh, he brought us to the tournament. So did Louis Orr. Right? So did Louis Orr.
They fired Louis Orr after he brought us. Right. Louis Orr got fired after he brought us to the tournament.
Exactly. Don't tell me, Gonzo never brought us to the tournament. Well, Louis Orr, the guy before him, did. Right? So, and I'm sorry, again, Nick, I love you. You know that. Your own family is against you sometimes with the Kevin Willard thing. But I don't know if I would necessarily put great in front of his name. He was above average. He was not great. He lost so many times. Like Paul, great comment yesterday on our thread. How many times he lost 3 times in the first round? No, 4 times, and 3 of the times we were the higher seed. We're allowed to hate. I'm allowed to hate Kevin Willard.
Of course you are. Of course you are. And you are.
And people attacking me like, the greatest one, I'm sure Christian will get to it. I'll hold off for that one when it comes on the screen. But and it wasn't just my post. Jeff Kovach's post got slammed too. I believe there's another post about him losing that also got some scorn. This is America. We're allowed to have our opinions. I'm sorry. I hate Kevin Willard.
It's called freedom of speech. That's in the first constitutional right. Okay?
Yes.
I mean, come on, really? Are you kidding me? Freedom of speech, constitutional. Look it up in the dictionary. You got a dictionary at home? Look it up in the dictionary.
No.
So
I'm sorry.
You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater, right? Even though you have freedom of speech, correct? But also,
right.
if you go on these Facebook pages and start you're gonna get pushback no matter what you say.
Our guy Lou Monaco says he has a career tournament record of 4-7.
No, Frank, you're good.
But that means he's been to the tournament 7 times. 7 times. He took Siena. He took Iona. Horrible program. Turned it around. Went to Seton Hall when no one wanted to come here. We had a player punching another player on national television in the nuts. We had guys raiding a drug house. We had come on, it's true. We had a coach stealing a purse from the Short Hills Mall. We were a laughing stock. And Kevin Willard came here and turned our program around.
Don't get me wrong. Kevin is a great coach. He's a good coach.
Whoa. Bill. Very good or great? Sorry. Very good or great?
You got me there, Bobby.
Shaw got a chip. Shaw has got a chip. Shaw took the team to the
You're
Elite
right.
Eight.
I agree.
That's a great coach.
That's a great coach. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, Louis or Willard, who is better for the program? Willard.
No, I'm not gonna. No, you're on that respect of building us back up, 1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%.
Okay, Gonzo or Willard? It's not even close.
Willard.
George Blaney or Willard? George Clueless Blaney.
Nick, let's flip. Nick, let's flip it a second. Let's flip this 1 second.
Nick,
go, Paul.
Go ahead, Bobby.
No, I'm gonna make a quick comparison. Nick, who was better, Billy Martin or Buck Showalter?
Billy Martin.
Buck built us up, but he can't win. He can't win a big game.
Okay,
Buck Showalter is the modern day Kevin Willard.
Willard won the Big East tournament to the team that ended up winning the national championship. And then we got a lousy draw. We had to go to Colorado. We were the altitude killed us, and we played Gonzaga. And that was all. We got the worst possible draw. Paul, go on. I'm fired up now.
Nick, first of all, don't bring up Bobby G, okay? Because
that's an anomaly.
You could have beat. You're a better coach than Bobby G. If you had the program, you would have been more successful than Bobby G. So that's the first thing. Seton Hall, unfortunately, has not been the cradle of coaches. So, you compare, you say Kevin Willard is the second best or third best coach in the history of the program.
Yeah.
You can be right. You and Bobby can both be right at the same time. He's been certainly a highly successful coach at Seton Hall. He's also, never finished, has finished first in the Big East regular season once. He's been a guy who finishes third or fourth, gets in the NCAA tournament, sometimes wins a game, sometimes doesn't. That's where he took the program. That's where the program was when he left. Is Shaheen Holloway going to be able to take it to better places? Oh, so far we don't have any evidence that he's going to. Should a program be satisfied with finishing third or fourth in the Big East every year, getting into the NCAA tournament about half the time, winning a game every once in a while, which is what Willard did, because I'm looking at his record. I got it right in front of me. Is that good enough at Seton Hall? To some degree, when we constantly talk about the inherent problems with the program in terms of NIL, in terms of money, in terms of not enough on-campus facility, all those things, maybe Willard is as good as you could hope for at this program. but I would hope that eventually we could get something better. I don't know if it's Holloway or not. The jury is still out.
Yeah, but I mean, to Paul's comment, and I agree with him. I look at our women's program, and we're hoping and we're pretty solid that Coach Boz isn't going anywhere, right? He loves Seton Hall. He's a graduate,
right?
Yep.
So is Coach Shaheen. But Coach, in the world of men's basketball, though, Coach Shaheen, can make a lot more money and with a lot more resources going somewhere else eventually. Are we going to blame him when it happens? No. But he can't fumble it like Willard did when he went to Maryland. That's probably the worst, and he did it twice. So no one's going to fumble a new opportunity more than Willard did. But but like I said, Shaw is like people are whispering Shaw for UNC, right? I don't see it, but that's the kind of respect he has. That's one of your top 5 flagship programs in the country, UNC. If you get a call tomorrow and we're on a show tomorrow night because he's leaving for UNC, are we going to be upset or happy for him? UNC, I'm happy for him. Georgetown, like Cooley did, if he goes parallel, you get pissed off. Willard went parallel. He went to Maryland, and then he joined the enemy again.
All I'm saying is that Seton Hall was a laughing stock of the country under Bobby G, and that Willard took us back to prominence, respectability, whatever you want to say. Did he get a couple of bad draws in the NCAA tournament? He did. But he's been to 7 NCAA tournaments. There has to be something for that. Christina.
So this is what I want to talk about, because I don't count the TCU game. He was checked out.
Oh.
Why is that acceptable? Why is him going somewhere else and essentially leaving us in the dust when we could have made a really nice run? Something that's okay, because it's really not.
Well, why is it okay with Lane Kiffin? Why could Lane Kiffin do it and desert the team and have someone else coach him in a bowl game? Because that's the idiots that run college sports. They allow it.
But I don't think it's okay regardless.
Paul, what rule did Willard break? Paul, tell me what rule
he did not break a rule.
I'm not saying he broke a rule. I'm saying it's classless. And I'm not done, Dad. And anything that he could have done positive is completely overruled by you acting like a fool and leaving that way. And then you go and do it again, leaving Maryland for Nova. He's classless. He could have a freaking undefeated season, and I would still think he was classless. And that's all I have to say.
Christina, to add upon that, his comments yesterday or Friday were classless.
Yeah, and you know what? You say something stupid, right? And I always tell my fiance, well, I guess he's my husband now.
Whoa. There's a wedding 2 weeks ago.
I always tell him, when you tell a joke, right, and it's not funny, just tell funnier jokes. You double back down, either admit to it or move on. And it's just classless and terrible. So, like I said, Dad, I'm going to agree to disagree with you on that one.
But I am hearing, and I respect Lou Monaco as much as anyone, but I keep hearing this. He checked out for the TCU game. How does anyone know that? Frankie, Bill, you guys have played sports your whole life. Are you ever going to not want to win a game? Like, that's insane.
Actually, exactly. So Nick, I got the Seton Hall record book here.
Yeah, read that record book.
So I'm gonna start in when Willard became the coach. What, 2016?
No, way before that. Way before that.
Okay, well, all right. So 2015, it says 2015-2016 season. Kevin Willard, Big East tournament champions and NCAA first round. His record was 25-9. Right.
That's right.
2016-2017 season. NCAA first round, 21-12. Okay. 2017-2018 season. NCAA second round, 22-12. 2018-2019 season. Kevin Willard, NCAA first round, 20-14. 2019-20 season. Big East regular season champions. 21-9. And 21st, 21 and 22nd year, first round NCAA 22-11.
There you go. There you go. But before that, it wasn't so good. So I'm going to be fair.
No.
But he built the program up. Go, Frank, and then we're going to get Matty Palms on.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say the 2010-2011 season, I think that was his first year. Gonzo was there from like the 2006 to 2010. He had 3 empty runs and 1 NIT run. That was that game where, we had the punch below the belt. Before that, Louis Orr, he had taken the team to 2 NCAA tournaments, won a game against Arizona, and reached the second round one year. And that, what was he there? 6 years? And the powers that be, they wanted to get they I don't know. I think it was a desperation move. They thought they could go get Gonzo and he would hit a home run. Instead, he whiffed. They brought in Willard, and Willard, I think he's a smart guy. In fact, he might be really smart with saying what he said. Look at Patino a couple years ago. He had that press conference. He called out all his players. He was in every newspaper, in ESPN. Everybody was all over him because the comments that he made about his players. Next thing you know, that team went on a big run, almost made the NCAAs, beat us in the quarterfinals of the Big East tournament, and now they look unstoppable in the Big East these last 2 years. But Willard, I think, was really smart. He left Iona after he brought them to the big dance, and then he took this job. But at that point, Seton Hall they were at rock bottom. He couldn't look any worse. I don't think he had anything to lose by taking that job. If he stayed at Iona and he couldn't get them back to the NCAA tournament again, then maybe that was risky too. But once those football teams left, and nobody's mentioned this, but when those football teams left, that helped so many of these teams in the Big East in that era. And it even helped Villanova. I mean, Villanova was one of the good teams when the Big East was when they had all the football teams in there. But there were times where we got 11 out of the 16 teams in the NCAA tournament back then. But it was always Pittsburgh, Syracuse,
Louisville,
even West Virginia, Notre Dame. You couldn't keep those teams out. UConn. So once they all left, that opened up the door, and Seton Hall was able to sneak in there and be one of these other teams, along with Xavier and even Creighton. So there weren't as many teams going to the big dance anymore, but Seton Hall wormed their way in there, and that helped with all those teams leaving the big. And Willard, I love what he said when UConn came back in. He was the one that said, he was one of the only ones that said, we can't let this happen. This is not going to be good for teams like us. And it wasn't. All of a sudden, they were dominating. But now these last couple of years with the NIL thing, now things are changing a bit. And I often wonder about Jay Wright. Look, Jay Wright, he benefited the most. As I said, Villanova was doing well from the early 2000s through 2013. But they weren't doing as well as they were from 2014 until he retired. They were just unstoppable. They took something good and made it exceptional, and they really benefited from that new Big East at that time. And then he left when UConn started to get rolling, and he didn't have like a big contingent returning, and Kyle Neptune was in a bad position. But now with the NIL, I think Willard could be successful over there. But he left us at the right time when Maryland made him an offer. And then now with the NIL and Maryland saying we're only going to allocate this much to basketball, he'd have to have rocks in his head to stay at Maryland.
Matty, what are your thoughts on the whole Willard thing? Because I'd love to hear him.
He has a dry sense of humor. I mean, he was frustrated because his assistant coaches did not, I guess, read what should have been done with all those out of bounds plays. Like, they didn't prepare for them. Like, if you watch the St. John's Kansas game, what happened with Kansas? Not to get off Willard, but they didn't prepare. Kansas didn't prepare for St. John's is pressure on the out of bounds. So getting back to Willard, he's kind of dry. He said even during his press conference, someone asked him the question again, and he's like, "It's a joke. Can we just move on?" Kind of. So, it is what it is. I mean, I don't like when they say coaches have checked out. I mean, are we going to go back to Amaker and think Amaker was checked out in that game when he left in 2001? So, I don't know. I mean, we have to really just focus in on Seton Hall basketball and start looking at what other colleges and universities are doing and taking taking a little bit of pieces out of everybody's playbook of what they're doing and making Seton Hall basketball better. I mean, coaches are going to leave, whenever. I mean, so if you're going to think that the game was lost, the coach was checking out. And I brought this up, and it's kind of like catch 22. And I get it because the portal opens up on Tuesday morning at 12 midnight, right after the championship game. I think coaches should not be tampered with if they're in the NCAA tournament. So if you want that coach and he's in the NIT or the Crown or the NCAA, the agent should not be able to talk to another school while that coach still has an obligation, because that's kind of like contract. And a lot of coaches get away with it with their agents and stuff like that. But if there's a ruling that comes down, that's what needs to be done. Just like players can't be tampered with until they officially put their name in the portal. So, that's my take on Willard. I just think it's his first year. He's a little frustrated he move on, but he only had one player, I think, right? Malachi Palmer that came from Maryland that followed him. I don't think he picked up that many players. The rest were probably there from, Neptune's era a little bit. So, I think you're just gonna, again, that's what we need. Again, he was like that in Seton Hall a little bit. Some of his pressers were, it is what it is. Even Shad does it too. I mean, Shad does want to answer some of the tough questions and kind of, lets it go. And some of you guys are pressers and are in there, and he doesn't. When he loses, it's very tough to answer questions if you're a coach, and you see it. All these pressers. I mean, it's tough to lose a game, and when you win, yeah, everybody's happy and questions and get all answered. But when you lose, it's very tough to sit in there and and see what they go through because of a loss. But glad St. John's won. A lot of people had them have them going further. Would have been a big bracket buster. But will they get past Duke? I don't know. I don't have them going past Duke. I think Duke got their scare with Siena, but I think Duke moves on over St. John's, and let's root on Furley for UConn. I mean, I get guys, I see it in the thing, but you got to really support the Big East, and we hold our comments. And again, everybody's eligible to say what they want in the groups, but when teams make the NCAA and we don't, you have to give them the tip of the hat, and that's what I've been kind of saying. If we don't make the NCAA's, yeah, we won the NIT in 2024, but when are we going to make the NCAA? And has to be a forefront. A lot of these bigger schools want to go to the Final Four. That's their ultimate end game. I mean, look at Gonzaga. Will the coach from Gonzaga be gone? Probably not. Mark Few will probably come back. The UNC coach, that's a catch-22. I don't know where they're going to go with that. Probably, they'll probably, go move on from him. Maybe, I don't know. But I truly just believe we need to focus on Seton Hall basketball and making the NCAA tournament, and keeping our players and focusing on the NIL. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Maddie.
Oh, Nick, thanks for the invite.
Thank you, buddy. Anytime. So listen, we had a whole bunch of new viewers, so I'm gonna just post again the
16 pay points for Utah State. How do you keep them out?
I'm gonna fire my staff because we've
not now.
Yeah, I am, because we've given up 8 points on underneath out of bounds defense. So the only thing I'm gonna do is fire them and get a new staff.
Mark Zicristani, Union Tribune, you just mentioned making changes to your staff. You gave a.
It's a joke.
Well, that's what I want to ask you about.
Bless it.
You gave an interview during the game. It went viral. You're being criticized pretty heavily online.
I don't care.
Go back.
It's a joke.
Welcome to my life. It's a joke.
So everybody who just jumped on, what was it a joke? What do you think? And again, I know Maddie said we got to concentrate on Seton Hall, and we're going to do that. But I think what we also need to do is, there's a lot of interest in this. Let's get everybody back up on the screen. Can we do that? Possible? Yeah. So let's get everybody back up on the screen as viewers have spiked again. We're going to get Coach O'Brien on in a little while. But Christine, are there any other comments that you have from anybody out there? Any posts that were on the Arnie? Bill, read this. Bill, read that.
Okay. Ann Mazzullo, she would never throw his coaches or assistants under the bus. I thought what he did was a classless act, something we have seen before, unfortunately.
So Arnie Manzo thought it was a classless act, that Shaw would never do that. Arnie, I love you, but Arnie, it was a joke. Maybe a joke in bad taste, but nevertheless. And Coach O'Brien, what? Coach, you've been coaching. You've been frustrated. If someone threw a microphone in front of your face right after you were in the huddle, it could happen, right?
Yeah, I mean. It was frustration, and I thought it was a joke. The timing of it wasn't that great, but come on. I mean, you're put there, you're getting you're getting eaten up on an inbounds play where they scored how many? 8? Was it 8 points? 4 baskets?
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought it was a joke. I would let it go. I mean. That was my take on that one.
And now we're talking. Why is Willard so polarizing? I mean, Christine, you have any other comments up there? And there was one. A couple people took shots at Bobby. Now I disagreed with Bobby, but Bobby has a right to post whatever he wants. Especially, it's his site. And Bobby, and just so you guys know, Bobby's never said once to me or Paul or anyone else, don't talk about that or go on this side. So here's a comment I know Bobby wants to comment on. Bobby, you want to read it? James Bosworth, who was on the golf team or is on the golf team or I don't know. But anyway, Bobby, read James's comment. Bobby, you there? Bobby's gone. James Bosworth, this mentality is so unchristian and lowbrow. And James was commenting something that Bobby said about Willard. Well, I don't think Bobby is unchristian and or lowbrow. I think Bobby's entitled to his opinion. I think Willard is very polarizing, and I love him, but everyone else, my own daughter doesn't agree with me on that one. Paul, your thoughts is Bobby's mentality unchristian and lowbrow?
We're starting to just some very strange territory. I don't know how much of my Christian faith to love one another as Christ has loved me extends to people like Gino Auriemma, for example. What goes on a basketball court? I mean, we're talking about, these guys as sports people, sports persons. I don't know Kevin Willard. He's never been at my house for dinner. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. I have an opinion of him as a public person, the way he handled, the way the success he had at Seton Hall, the way he handled leaving Seton Hall, the success he had in the tournament, how other people think about him. But I mean, I can't, we start getting into that area, it kind of gets a little bit silly. I mean, certainly, there's an old saying about opinions. Everybody's got one, and certainly everybody's entitled to it. I think that it is, and the last thing too is, it is possible to say that Kevin Willard had a very successful run at Seton Hall. I'm looking at his record. His first 5 seasons weren't all that great, but his last 6 seasons had 5 NCAA tournament appearances, and certainly the 2020 team would have gone to the NCAA tournament if there hadn't been for COVID. He had a pretty successful run, and it is fair to say he had a successful run, and I hate him. Both things are possible. So, I think that we have to remember that more than one thing can be true at the same time.
And on that note, let me just say this for balance, okay? So you guys know I love Willard. Willard had a lot of success at Seton Hall. After the 2014-2015 season, there was no continuity. Supposedly, guys weren't getting along. Guys were wanting to transfer. And there were talk that the Marquette game at the Garden was a total disaster. There was a lot of talk about Willard getting fired and going to take the Holy Cross job. I don't know if anyone remembers that. And the university decided to give him a chance, make a little changes. I think they brought in Freddie Hill. But then Willard, whatever they did and whatever they told Willard to tweak worked. And Willard turned things around. And then the rest is history. 5 NCAA tournament, bids. We, haven't gone back 5 times. I think we haven't gone back once without Willard as our coach. So that worked out. He left. Everyone's saying he was checked out. I don't know about that. How do anyone know if Willard was checked out? I doubt against TCU. He said, "Well, we're not going to try to win this game." Totally doubt that one. And Paul, you mentioned something. My son worked for Willard for 4 years. Never heard my son come home. So Willard, he was a manager. Willard essentially was his boss. We've all complained about our bosses. I never heard him say one bad thing about Willard. So, I don't know. I'm a Willard guy. Is he perfect? Is he a perfect human being? Of course not. He's flawed. Danny Hurley is a flawed human being. We're all flawed human beings. Getting back to what you said about Christianity and everything. None of us are perfect. Tom, you're I don't know. What do you think? You look at Willard maybe as a coach different than we all do. As a coach, what do you think about him and his style?
I don't know. I mean, you got to look at Villanova and how they played this year. Very balanced offense, defense. His plans. I'm just unfortunate that was a good game that they lost. I don't know if you guys watched that game. That was a good game. That was a tight game. I mean, he'll be back with Villanova next year. I mean, I don't think you're going to see a coaching change there because of those comments. And again, I think a lot of people, that don't like Willard are like, "Oh Lord, look what he's saying." Again, from a coaching perspective, I've said to kids, "Yeah, I'm gonna sit you the rest of the game, and you're my superstar because you just don't have it tonight." I've done that. Just to get off topic a little bit, I don't know if you guys talked about the St. John's Kansas game. Have you talked about that?
We opened with it, but go on. And then, Bobby, we're going to go off topic a little further because we spent 45 minutes on KW. So talk about St. John. St. John's, and then Bobby's got to ask you about some things.
So I hate Duke. Today's game, my sister and I were watching the game, and there's 3 minutes to go, and he's got Dylan Darling in, who's been blocked 3 times, 0 of 8 from the field, and obviously he has a game winner. I really think St. John's could take down Duke. I really do. Their defense was phenomenal. Not only with the half court, the stall there that they would actually do a little press. Kansas offense started from the perimeter. They never really got down low inside the paint there. So that's going to be key when they play against Duke. Can they control Boozer? I'm not too worried about that. It's the other players that they're going to have to Evans and et cetera. But I'm excited here. I am really excited. I like Bobby Hurley. I don't like Bobby Hurley. Do I want to see 2 Big East teams in the Sweet 16? Definitely. Because the ACC right now, I think they're almost all gone, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We got Duke. Okay? Duke's the only one, right? Virginia, did they win? Did they win today? No. Yes?
They lost.
So there's one ACC team. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Out of how many, Coach? How many winning?
8. They had 8 teams.
That's BS. That's total BS.
That's what drives me nuts, guys, because we only had 3 teams in there. So, and you put St. John's and UConn in the same bracket. And no way St. John's should have been a 5th seed. No way. You win the conference. You win the Big East tournament. I mean, and Pitino, I'm sure he is just biting his lip that wanted to say something, but he didn't this time. And now he's putting his players, he's putting his plan on the court, beat Kansas. I mean, that was a great ending there. They should have won by more. Definitely some questionable calls towards the end there that favored Kansas. But next week, playing Duke. Where is that Sweet 16? Does anybody know off the top of your head?
I think in D.C.
Washington, D.C.
I'm going to be in St. Thomas this week. I would love to go to that game. But we got what? Right now, as of right now, we got 2 teams. 2 out of our 3 teams still playing in the NCAA tournament. So I don't know. I go back.
And what gets my goat, Tom, is we beat North Carolina State pretty handily, right?
Yep.
And they make the tournament. I don't know. We can have a whole nother show.
I mean, the ACC
about the NET and how horrible
SMU,
it is.
There's no way there should have been 8 teams there. There should have been 4 or 5. 5 max. It's very frustrating. But I'm cheering for St. John's. I have them in my pool. There's 122 people, and I'm the only one that picked St. John's.
Wow.
See what happens. We'll just roll the dice. Never know.
A friend of mine said at the start of the tournament he put $100 on St. John's at 50 to 1 to win the whole thing. So
yeah, it's possible. I mean, do you guys think that St. John's can beat Duke, or what do you think? I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
I don't think. With all due apologies to my future daughter-in-law, I don't think Duke's that good. I don't think Shire's a great coach. I think, they get good talent, but I don't think there's a lot of continuity with that team right now. I think they're a little hurt. I think they did not look good. I think Shire was outcoached in the first game, even though they won. Wow. So, right, guys, I think, I'm interesting to see. Is the line out yet? I think St. John's might be favored.
Wow.
Duck Fook.
I got to check this, Nick. I got to check on this.
I mean, the whole thing, and I told this story. Paul and I were at Seton Hall against Duke. Duke beat us, the Bobby Danny game, and Paul and I both gave our tickets away. We sold ours at face value to some Duke guy who thought, because I was from New Jersey, I was giving him phony counterfeit tickets. Well, you know what? Frig you, buddy. I didn't give you counterfeit tickets. I gave you tickets to what ended up being the greatest game in the history of college basketball, and I don't care that I didn't go. Paul, do you care that you didn't go?
No, I don't. And as far as Duke is concerned, I think that. So Duke, by the way, St. John's will not be favored.
No?
6.5, Nick. It already came out. 6.5.
Wait, remember 6.5 favorite?
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Remember, what do you call it? The line reflects the line reflects what people think about things, and everybody always thinks Duke is better than they are. That's always you always should bet. You're getting 3 points. Every time you bet against Duke, you're probably getting 3 points over the line because everybody loves Duke and everybody throws money at Duke, and that moves the line a couple of points. I think that Ejiofor is, can do some damage. I think that St. John's can shoot. I think that if you give Pitino 4 days to prepare or 5 days to prepare, I don't know if that game is Thursday or Friday. But he's going to have enough time to come up with a game plan. And the reason I'm pulling for St. John's is if you go back to 2014, Otley's last year at UConn. UConn has won the NCAA tournament 3 times. Villanova has won it twice. If St. John's can win it this year, and we're a long way away from that, but if St. John's wins it this year, in a dozen seasons, 6 Big East teams have won the NCAA tournament, and 3 different programs have won the NCAA tournament. And that's not bad for a conference that somebody compared to the West Coast Conference the other day, because we only got 3 bids.
Good point.
We're the only team, though. I mean, it couldn't have possibly been 5 teams because almost every other team was either 500 or below. And I just don't think we did enough. I know a lot of people think we got screwed. I'm not thinking that.
And Frank, I don't either. I think that it was there for us. If we beat DePaul, hung on against Creighton, it was out there. We were a couple of games away from it this year. But when Texas is 18-14 and they go, when teams from the ACC with losing records, teams from the ACC with losing records, they go. You start to get frustrated that that people are downplaying the quality of playing the conference. There are some lousy teams in the ACC, and there are some lousy teams in the Big Ten. And I think that if you took all the last place teams and had them in the tournament, the Big East would win all the time. Which means that every time you go on the road in the Big East, you're playing somebody good, even if they're 4-12.
Look, I just wish we proved it. I mean, there were some really bad losses, like say DePaul losing at home to Buffalo, losing to Northwestern, Kansas State winning at Creighton, and then some of these teams did damage. And then St. John's. I mean, who did they beat outside the Big East until today? What, Ole Miss and Baylor, 2 teams that didn't even make the tournament, but they lost all 4 decent or NCAA tournament teams that they played against. And then they came in and steamrolled everybody in the Big East. So it just, for optics, it just didn't make us look good, which was so frustrating. But maybe that's a different show that we could have some other time. Talk about what we need to do next year and what we could have done this year to get one more team in there. I mean, our record was good enough. It's just that I don't think the Big East top to bottom. I think there were 2.
No, I think the problem was I think the NET is loaded. The net is loaded against a team like us. Because if you look at our record, I mean, come on, we 5 losses to St. John's and UConn, right? 5 losses. Come on. We win at Kansas State. We beat North Carolina State in a neutral court. I mean, we stumbled in the Big East a little bit, but the Big East, everyone kills everybody. We did finish 500 in the Big East, and the powers of be, drinking their cocktails out on the veranda and wherever, North Carolina, wherever they were making these decisions. That Jersey school, nah. So I don't know.
Who else hurt us, though, is Kansas State. What did they win? How many games did they win in the Big 12? 1? Or they were awful. And then USC just collapsed. So those guys didn't really do us any favors,
Nope.
But when we had Carino on here, the problem is we in the past, we've had the SEC, Big East or whatever, Clash or whatever, you had the ACC, so maybe you could get one of those teams to come in like Maryland did a few years ago and you beat them at home. No team like that is going to come play us at home, right? No, unless they have to. Next year, hope Kansas State's going to be good because they're coming in and we're going to play the Scarlet Streakers over there. And, their new president says he guarantees $10 million to the coach. So for his NIL. So who knows?
Maybe we need a big East, Big West, or West Coast
Something.
Conference tournament. So St. John's against Gonzaga, us against.
Yeah, I mean,
I think after I know we didn't post it, but those of you who have seen the fake meme of Kevin Willard's press conference when he called the Mountain West Clown College or something, we got to go play the Mountain West now.
Well, Mountain West screwed us a few years ago with CBS. Yeah. I mean, that was ridiculous. But we're at an hour right now. So Bobby, you wanted to ask Tom something?
Well, hold on, Tom. Are you available Tuesday night?
Yeah, Tuesday night. I'll be in St. Tom. Yeah, I can definitely talk. Yeah.
Oh, just quick. We're having have we announced who we're having on yet, Nick? On Tuesday?
No, we have. Did you confirm it? Because I don't like doing.
Oh yeah, well, all right. We may have a current player on Tuesday night. We're gonna confirm it tonight, tomorrow. Have some questions ready for him. We met him on Thursday night. Awesome! I'm so excited for it. Nice. So, Tom, the reason why I'm asking you because if you're gonna be on Tuesday, I'm gonna talk to you about the whole UNC situation with the coaching. Again, people are starting to put shot in that job already.
You have no idea. It's the hottest media right now. It's the hottest topic on who could replace him, and there have been some names out there that I'm shocked to hear. But
if you're gonna come on Tuesday, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about UNC on Tuesday, and we also have a talk about Providence, the new coach in Providence.
Yep, they just got one. Yep.
So, real quick, I had some tech difficulties with my broadcast when you're talking about the unchristian thing, right? I wasn't there. So let me respond to that.
Christina, post it back up. Just post it back up, Christina.
And by the way, did you post Daryl Jacobs' comment?
No, Christina, the unchristian thing, and then Daryl Jacobs. Christina still there?
Got to be. There's 8 of us on the. She's finding it. Anyway, so she'll post a comment. Now, you want to bash me for what I said? Again, we've already discussed this an hour ago, how not everybody's a Willard fan, and everybody has their reason why. I mean, Nick and his whole family has goes both ways. But what the hell does unchristian mean? Why, because the Pope comes from Villanova? Now you can't bash him anymore? How is that unchristian? I don't understand that. The mentality is unchristian? What the hell does that mean?
Bobby, we stuck up for you. Paul and I stuck up for you.
No, I'm saying, but yeah, thank you guys for that. I appreciate that. But what the hell does unchristian mean?
Bill called you a heathen, but Paul and I stuck up for you.
Who?
Bill called you a heathen, but Paul and I
didn't say one word. I didn't say one word.
I just don't understand. Lowbrow? Why is that lowbrow? I'm allowed to hate Kevin Willard. But unchristian, I saw that today. I laughed. Christina had me on Friday, for God's sakes. That's unchristian.
I did too. So yeah. No, unchristian is to make bad comments and throw someone under the bus for their opinions, right? Treat others like you wanted to be treated, correct? That's unchristian.
Well, Bobby,
this guy and the Higgins guy, they're like my biggest critics all the time when I post something.
Well, Bobby, if you're unchristian, what happens when I go to St. Peter and he starts running all the tapes of the things I said about Danny Hurley and Gino Auriemma? I'll be in purgatory for 10,000 years, I guess.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. What am I wearing a backward cross or something? I mean, it's unchristian. Of all things you can pull a comment, unchristian is like, oh my God.
We got to get Father John on here and ask Father John if you're unchristian.
Again, maybe it's because of the whole he's the Pope now thing. I don't know. You can't bash Nova anymore. The Pope came from there. God forbid.
Well, gentlemen, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave now. Always great to have this kind of lively.
This was fun. Tuesday, Paul. Tuesday.
Okay,
Bobby, Tuesdays at 8, right?
I've got to talk to my manager.
Bobby, Tuesday at 8?
Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I'll confirm everything tonight and tomorrow. I'm excited to have this guest on, and it'll be the first of many current and former players.
Yeah, we have a good string of guests going, and again, 200 South Orange Avenue watches this show and they enjoy it. So thank you guys for everything.
By the way, let's post Daryl's comment because Daryl is a CBS Sports college basketball commentator. So he's seen a lot of these, especially mid majors. Friend of mine, I know the CBS Sports basketball broadcast. He had a pretty good quote there about the current state of things.
Oh wow! Wait, where's Daryl? I don't see Daryl.
Yeah, he was on there somewhere. I mean, I'm on my iPhone now. I had to switch. I tried to get him on. He'll be on he's agreed to come on as a guest in the future. Yeah, it'd probably cut off, but
I'll read this one. Resources. Holloway with resources would have easily done what Ja Lucas did this year at Miami. You guys are lucky to have him, and be careful of what you. Hey, look, Daryl Jacobs, you are preaching to the effing choir because I love Shaheen Holloway, and I wish he had all the resources in the world. I tell people to buy bricks, and they tell me they'd rather donate to the ASPCA. We have a show here, and we get Seton Hall on to try to promote a fundraiser that they're having. So we're doing everything that we can. And anyone out there, donate to Pirate Blue. Donate to Pirate Blue. That's how we could keep up. I don't care how small or how big. No matter with what people say, every dollar counts. So I agree with you, Mr. Jacobs.
Hold on. Let me finish his comment because it's cut off there.
Okay, read the rest.
Like anything in life, his tenure will run its course, whether it's a few years or 10, 20 years. Willard calling his coaches out was classless, but also not accepting any responsibility is not a sign of a good leader. He will reflect and realize his mistake, but this is not the first time he was frustrated with his staff this year. He just expressed after the game, and I wish you guys much success and going forward. And he says, finally, St. John's will beat Duke. By the way, I happen to know Daryl because I used to broadcast his games on I-95, which is the predecessor of Surge Sports, when he coached in a local ABA team. And I know Daryl, pretty well. Great guy. And now he's really making a name for himself, doing games all over the country with college basketball.
Thank you, Daryl. Come back on anytime. Be a guest. We'd love to have you. I just saw this, and I apologize because you want to keep the bosses happy. Where is it? Patrick Mind. There we go. Patrick Mind. Replying to Lou Monaco. 1-4 with Pirates, 3-3 since. Yes, that's Willard's record. So 1-4 with the Pirates, 3-3 since. I mean, that's not a bad. I don't know. I think that's pretty good NCAA record, right? You got to make.
Real quick, though, Nick. Frank, I know you're a good historian with games. The Derek Queen long shot last year. What game was that? Was that the 32 or 16? Do you remember offhand?
I don't remember which round it was.
I think it was to get into the 16, right?
Yeah. So again, Queen misses that shot, and his record's what? 2-4.
Well, no, it was 2-3.
2-3.
Yeah, because you can only lose once in the tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I just gotta say, it's just again, very good coach. I'm not calling him great. Not yet.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and I think what Paul said before is our third best coach ever, but maybe that's not saying that much compared to a lot of coaches we have. I think that's fair too.
I agree.
Yeah, great job as always, my team. You guys are awesome. Tom, we got to talk offline one day after your trip to yeah.
I'll text you my number, man. So
we got some great stuff going on here, and Eli, if you're out there, jump in real quick. I think Eli's off work. He's been commenting a little bit, but great job, everybody. I appreciate everybody's contributions. We are on a rocket ship right now, and this is my board of directors right here. We're talking to going forward. So, any more last comments, guys? Oh, by the way, do you realize how crazy it is? The weather really has. We had 3 days of 70-degree weather last week. It got cold again. This weekend it was
Bobby,
right. It was great. It wasn't really warm. Baseball starts this week, for God's sakes. Do you believe that? We are already into baseball season. Unbelievable.
Whenever did baseball start in March?
March 25th is like the first game.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow.
Yeah, it's getting earlier and earlier.
Mr. Hathaway, final comments.
Great show tonight, and we wish the Johnnies well on Friday, and let's keep up a great organization that we're doing with Surge Sports and Seton Hall Pirate family.
Coach O'Brien.
Great show tonight. My sister, my brother-in-law, they've been listening for the whole season. You guys, it's entertaining because what she tells us, it's informative.
Yeah.
And loves the fact that, we don't all agree on the same thing.
No.
But so they're listening here with a bunch of family, actually, because it's Sunday night, right? Everyone's having some dinner and keying down, getting ready for Monday. All I got to say is let's go St. John's. Let's beat Duke. And if UConn can get in there to the final, to the Sweet 16, hate to say it, if there's, you may see UConn and St. John's in the final there against each other. In the final 8. But I'd love to see two Big East teams represent the NCAA tournament as far as possible right now. So,
Eli's comedy.
And like I said, I hate Duke more than anything else in this world, and I hate St. John's too. But I'm rooting for St. John's here because how epic would an Elite 8 UConn St. John's matchup be? The fourth go around. It's like watching Rocky, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Frankie A. Final comments.
No, I guess one comment is maybe one time we could have a discussion about what Utah State did to beat Villanova despite shooting horribly from outside. Somehow they figured out how to score from the inside and dominate in the paint. If we could have that formula somehow, maybe we'll be successful against Villanova next year, despite the fact, even if we can't land any shooters. And as for one comment about why he's so polarizing, what this whole show is about, I think it's because, there is a lot of comments out there that people are making, like, Shaheen. It's almost like what Daryl Jacobs just said. If I don't know if Willard would have done anything these last 4 years with the current climate right now. Things are a lot different than when he left with NIL coming in, or even that he saved the program. He was in at a different era than Louis Orr and Bobby Gonzalez. Not that it's evident that Willard was a way better coach than Bobby Gonzalez, but I understand what your daughter's saying too when she said checked out. It's not that we know for sure he was checked out, but the team just didn't look prepared and they didn't look like they were into it that night. Last comment is St. John's money line is plus 210 on Friday. So if you're confident, you double up your money.
Yeah.
Paul, final comments.
So I think that, Kevin, we're playing now in an era where there is absolutely no loyalty to anyone except themselves. Whether it's Willard, whether it's the players, whether it's whatever coaches there's actually no loyalty back to a program. And we see that, and I think that ultimately drives the frustration around a guy who leaves the program the day after they get beat in the NCAA tournament for another job. There's always going to be a question in that situation. Where was the coach's head? Was he preparing for the team for the NCAA tournament, or was he too busy talking to his agent about what kind of shoe contract he was going to get at his next stop? We see it now with players too, with NIL. I think, unfortunately, we're just going to have to get used to that's how it is. And when it happens to Shaheen or whoever else it is, we're going to have to accept that as well. I don't like it because I feel a certain amount of loyalty to Seton Hall, and I know you guys are all Seton Hall guys, but that's the world that we live in, and we're just going to have to accept it. But the last thing I want to say is about Shaheen. He's had 2 20-win seasons in his first 4 years, and Willard never did that. Bobby G certainly didn't do that. Louis Orr didn't do that, and Tommy Amaker didn't do that.
PJ didn't do that. Raf didn't do that.
So we are in a position with our coach and this program after 4 seasons, where we have to be happy with where we are and happy with what the future is going to hold.
CEO Bobby Blackjack, any final comments?
Yeah, kind of something I was reading before. It kind of almost feels like it's a day what's that expression? A day late, a dime short, something like that.
A day late and a dollar short.
Dollar short. We built this $30 million facility, right? Basketball facility, which was needed, of course. It makes our campus look better and whatnot. But all that designing and all that preparation for that facility was done before this NIL era. That was a Freudian slip there. But almost makes you wonder, because that was designed to help recruits come in, right? Today, these recruits, what do they want? They want money. They don't care about that grand spanking new facility as much as it would have meant 5 years ago. So, almost makes you realize that we maybe put too many resources into that's leaving us a little short in the coffers. And we got to figure out how to fix that, obviously, and go Pirates. And I'm going to be rooting for our guy Danny Hurley tonight. And I think it would be epic, beyond epic. St. John's UConn Elite Eight, because that guarantees one of the Big East going to the Final Four as well.
I don't know if anyone else. Thank you, Bobby. I don't know if anyone else has toured the practice facility, but it is an amazing. Frank, have you toured it?
No, I haven't gone inside.
It is. Bill, have you seen it?
No.
I got it. We got to next time we're there. We got to arrange a trip for you guys to see it. It's beautiful. You can't even say everything is just top notch, first class. And if I was a kid, I would love those facilities. Having said that, you still have to pay the kids. Everything being equal, you have a nice building and everything. So final comments. Got a lot of people watching our show. Shout out to Miss Heller and her mom, great people. To Freddie and Hardy, Seton Hall boosters, I appreciate the support, guys, and your kind comments and your ideas for guests. Go St. John's. And for those of us, Tom, Frank, and Paul and I have been around a while. Wouldn't it be cool? And I know he won't do this if Patino shows up in an ugly sweater on the next game. That would be classic. He won't do it because he has to wear Armani suits. But that would be great, Rick. You would get a lot of people who aren't fans of you would warm up to you if you ever did that. That's all. Great
by the way,
job,
real quick. He's made it pretty pronounced that he wishes college basketball would go back to coaches wearing suits every game. I don't think I ever are going to see Coach Shaw wearing a suit during the game. He loves that casual look. But Patino is old school. He wants that old school look with the suit and tie. I don't know.
Who else is old school with the suits?
Not that many, right? I mean,
Bobby, you just ripped him a new one.
Who?
Tell him, guys.
Willard wears a suit.
Oh, no, I'm not ripping anybody. I'm saying Patino wants that look back. He wants that.
No, but I'm saying Willard wears a suit.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but you know what? But Nick, Willard buys off the rack. Willard got that. Jay Wright had the nice tailored suit and the pinstripes always match. Now, Willard's getting that suit at Kohl's, I think.
Massimino wore a suit too, right? I don't think his was off the rack, and it was on the floor after the first possession. Tartanian never wore a suit, right?
John Thompson did.
John Thompson never wore a suit. Look again.
Tony Bozella wears a suit. He's a suit. The women's coach, he wears a suit.
Hey, he looked dapper. He looked very dapper the last game, didn't he?
He did,
yeah. Sharp,
I think he got a new suit. Was that a new suit?
I think he had a tie. The tie was actually done. That's why.
Oh, okay.
He's not a big tie guy, but he had a tie on Thursday night.
maybe college basketball should go like Major League Baseball, where the coaches have to be in a uniform.
I did wear a suit about 7 years ago in a championship game, and the kids are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Championship game, boys. I came here prepared." Then the real story was I had a town council meeting that I had to run from there to the game, and they're like, "You're wearing a suit. You don't ever wear a suit." I'm like, "We're here to win a championship, boys. Let's go. Let's go." It was funny. All right.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you Tuesday night.
Tuesday.
Special guest. Bobby's going to confirm it tomorrow. Good night.